each and every one of you who have been a part of this 40-year struggle, whether it's for a few days or for those many decades. My most heartfelt congratulations. History will be yours. I'm speaking to you today from my home in rural New Jersey. This house stood here when a few kilometers down the road, George Washington crossed the Delaware River and with only a few hundred men suffered upon the British Empire the first great defeat of our revolution. I mention it because all people are tried by history. Mine, the French, the Russians, the Chinese, even ancient people with proud histories and deep cultures like your own do not escape the trials of history. This is now your moment. You're being defined by it. Not only your political system and your country, but like the Armenian people or the Jewish people before you, your very culture. You will be different, stronger, and better for having survived all these years of trial and torment. We all wish that it would have been different, but it was probably naive to believe that all those years of dictatorship by the Shah, by monarchy, were going to smoothly transition into democracy. Still, who would have believed? All these decades, this very scale of the suffering. Now, after all this time, we see more than a glimmer of hope. Things have changed and changed fundamentally. It is not by chance that after all these decades, we're gathered today to celebrate the MEK. It was always going to be. And why? Because we, led by Mrs. Rajavi, failed to compromise. The vision of a free, independent, democratic Iran with gender equality, with opportunity for all people, at peace with its neighbors, with a free, prosperous economy. It was the vision then, it is the vision now. We never took a seat at the table with the mullahs. Under the most extreme suffering and torture, the loss of tens of thousands of lives, beginning in 81, but again in 87 and 88, and continuing now in the streets of Iranian cities. There was never a moment when we wavered or compromised. That's why together today we celebrate not simply this 40th anniversary, but we celebrate what we believe is an ensuing victory that is more than on the horizon. I will admit to you that while we have spoken many times, and I have predicted victory on several occasions, I was wrong. I genuinely believed a few years ago that today we would be in Tehran. We're not. The degree to which the IRGC, the mullahs themselves, have been willing to have the Iranian people suffer is beyond what any of us would have imagined. Not only the killing on the streets, the imprisoning of activists, but the economic suffering, the destruction of a great people, their economy, the loss of a generation's economic and political opportunities was more than any of us would have believed. It doesn't change the end result. All people, no matter how suppressed, in the end, dictatorships always have the same end. But it has made it longer, and it has made your suffer greater than many of us ever would have believed. And still, it's important today to see where we are in this struggle. Martin Luther King once said that the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. Where are we in this anniversary? And where have we been since the revolution was stolen in 80 and 81 the terrible deaths of 87 and 88, the inexplicable appeasement that led to the listing of the terrorist list in the 90s, into the early 2000s. The distance we've traveled, it's important to see the milestones that we have passed. Behind me, behind my shoulder, is a leather horse. It was given to me by Mrs. Rajavi when she asked me to go to the State Department and represent the MEK in a hearing to have the organization delisted from the American terror list. It was one of the low points of this movement. And it's important for you to know something about it, because it says something about her leadership, this struggle, and some of the outrages that we have endured by even people now who are our allies and even secretly wished us well then. For 4 hours in a chamber with State Department lawyers, I laid out the case of why the MEK was a legitimate struggle for human freedom against an oppressive government. And that in that struggle by political means, the organization had never committed a terrorist act, had never done anything to violate international law, and was a legitimate democratic movement for freedom, not unlike those of the great Western democracies, including my own. After 4 hours of presenting evidence, I rested my case. The moderator turned to the State Department lawyers and said, "Present your evidence." Here's what's important for you to know, who have believed in her and this organization all these years. They had nothing. It's not that their argument was weak. It's not just that they lost. They had nothing. The MEK has proudly represented democratic change in Iran from the moment this revolution was betrayed, and will do so until the day that a free democratic government is restored in Tehran. To be in this struggle the 30 years of my participation has been one of the proudest fights of my life. Sitting in this room through all those nights, the deaths in Ashraf, when the Revolutionary Guards, in complicity with Iraqi forces, invaded and murdered people in their beds and hospital gurneys, how we all suffered through. But how through it all, Mrs. Rajavi, and she alone, was presented with the choices. Stay and suffer wounds on the defensive in Ashraf, or move to Baghdad. Go from Baghdad and have our people sent to Albania, where they could organize, fight freely, without fear or terror, but regain the offensive. I watched those decisions being made. And when the history of the new Iranian revolution is written, they will be proud chapters of leadership, not of how we retreated, but how we made the tough decisions to advance, reorganize. In the streets of Tehran today, indeed across Iran, you can see the evidence of the wisdom of those decisions. What were a few protesters are now thousands. People who were disorganized are now organized into cells, organized by the MEK. In every city and street across the nation, with slogans and statements that are coordinated, effective, and bringing momentum to the movement. We went from an organization that was on, wrongly or rightly, in this case outrageously, on terrorist lists across the Western world, to an organization now where Mrs. Rajavi and the representatives of the MEK are welcomed in virtually every capital of the Western world, at the highest levels, where strategies are coordinated with the great democracies, where we share intelligence with the nations of Western Europe and North America, where our policies are coordinated towards democratic change in Iran. The distance we have traveled these decades is almost unimaginable. And as we are frustrated that the victory which some of us predicted 24 or 36 months ago has been postponed, not for long, but postponed, those victories, those successes need to be remembered. I know that the burden in this fight has not been equally shared. It never is. It never is in any revolution. And it was never going to be in yours. History does not move on great masses of people in unison rising up. The burden always falls on the few. Not simply Mrs. Rajavi and the leaders of the MEK, but on those of you who come to meetings, go on the internet, communicate with social media to Iran, make financial contributions that may strain your own family's resources. The burden's on you. But that's history. That's how it's always been. Humanity is led by a brave few who put themselves forward. At decisive moments, thousands will follow those few, and then tens of thousands. And then in the final moments, millions. It was never going to be for you to wait until the last moments to be part of the fight. You were part of this for 10, 20, 30, or 40 years. I'm sorry. And some of you paid a price beyond time and money. You've lost people that you loved, sometimes to horrendous deaths, sometimes at young ages, sometimes more than a single member of a family. It has been your burden in history. I can only leave you with that there is a reward, that for generations and generations, as it has been in America and France and Russia and indeed in nations all around the globe, generations will be grateful, will remember, will study, will celebrate what all of you did. To those of you who are new to this struggle, hearing our voices in Iran, I am sorry, but the burden is now shifting to you. It may have started with a few. Mrs. Rajavi may have had to make the tough choices. The few who wrote the checks and went to the rallies may have carried this burden. But there's just so much we can do from our homes in Los Angeles or London or Paris. Now it's your turn. And you're doing it. If you've joined a cell and are coordinating demonstrations in Iran, whether it's painting on the side of a building, hanging a banner, communicating on social media, even speaking with or organizing your neighbors secretly, no contribution is too small. Nothing is too little. And everyone can do something. Everybody can print a leaflet and leave it on the seat of a bus. If one person reads it and it spreads the truth and hope that there is no reason on God's earth why in a time of prosperity one nation lives in economic desperation. Why, when generations around the world are hoping for a better future, one nation has children after children and their children lost to poverty and despair. Why, at a time when democratic awakening around the globe, one nation has to live in this despotic dictatorship by the mullahs. It's your time. Decide what it is you can do. All of us have. I am proud of each and every moment that I was able, even in a small way, to touch the history of this movement. But it's not my country. It's yours. We can all help. But in the end, you have to claim history. To Mrs. Rajavi, I will always be grateful for the opportunity to join this fight. I have admired so, watching in times of trial, how you have struggled with these decisions and not only saved the movement and given hope to the future, but saved the lives of your people. To all of you who struggle every day, I will be proud all of my life that you allowed me to be part of this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And let us say again, knowing that soon it is certain, not likely, it is certain to be true. This celebration will be in Tehran. If not this year, the next. And while I believe it will be the next, if it is the year after, we are creating a democratic nation that will last for hundreds, if not 1,000 years. A few months, another couple of years, in the scale of history will not matter. The arc of history bends slowly, but it does bend towards justice. And justice in this case is success and the end of the regime. Thank you all very, very much.